Look at that nightmare fuel. What is that? News, glorious news. We're anxious to hear it. Look at this nightmare fuel. Thanks for waking us up, OGGM. That's burned into our retinas now. What's up, nerdsicles? It is I, your humble guide to all the tabletop role-playing game news, weather, and general internet nonsense. Your favorite idiot that is known as the OGGM, broadcasting live from Site B on this cloudy, foggy, gloomy, depressing Monday morning. It's time to open up our maps, take out our sextant, and plot our course through the turbulent waters of the tabletop role-playing game nonsense that is our community. What stories are affecting us this week, and what Critical Role fans are upset again? Must be a day in the week that ends with Y. I want to read a story that says Critical Role fans are not upset. An episode happened, nobody cared. That would be news. All right. First, what is this horrible nightmare we're looking at here? This is a Pathfinder life-size baby goblin thing that they are making. It is $130. It is, do we have size? I know it's like, oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Just, it's probably the size of a kitten, I think. They had the sizes, but now they don't. Weird. I think it weighs like a pound. It's that painted foam. I don't know where you'd put it. Just it'd be like Elf in the Shelf, goblin with the problem. You just place it around the house just to freak people out. For the D&D collector that has everything, now you can have baby goblin nightmare fuel. Thank you, Paizo WizKids. Speaking of Paizo WizKids, we finally have the follow-through for the Paizo WizKids War of the Immortals thingy. Remember that thing? That was mentioned, was it early this year or late last year? I don't know. Anyways, it's finally going live. I actually thought it already gone live. If you remember, War of the Immortals introduced us to the rare classes, the rare classes for Pathfinder, and there was a big playtest of the rare classes. And the theme of the War of the Immortals is pretty self-explanatory. It involves the gods getting involved in a war with each other, and possibly even one or more gods dying. And they're going to use this as a way to not only introduce new players to Pathfinder, but a way to tie together all the Pathfinder lore, stories, additions, stuff like that, and explain any transitions between old Pathfinder to new Pathfinder, and from new Pathfinder to the Pathfinder enhanced core that came out, which it pretty much is what I predicted. So yeah, that's what they're doing, and that's probably one of the best ways to do it, is to have a basically, for lack of a better terms, apocalyptic event happen where, gods die, gods are replaced, gods are reborn, portfolios change, magic changes. You thought things worked this way, but the logic of the world has changed because the god is dead or been replaced or whatever. Wizards TSR did this years ago with the horrible Avatar trilogy. So I'm assuming this is going to be at least better. And it's probably one of the best ways I can think of if you're drastically changing things and you need a hand wave explanation. Here you go. So yeah, and it introduces the two rare counters. The what were they called again? One was the Exemplar, and the other one was like the Totemus or something like that. And neither of them felt like classes. They felt like new subclasses for existing classes. There was one that was pretty much just a barbarian subclass, and the other one that was pretty much just a druid subclass. And they were called rare classes, and they never explained what rare classes meant. We all kind of had to hem and haw. A couple people from the Pathfinder organized play reached out to me, and they tried to explain it, but even they couldn't really agree. I mean, in terms of a video game, I guess it would be you have to go, in order to play that, you'd have to go through the game to unlock that character, and then you could play through the game again using that brand new character type. That would be one way. Or I don't know, for organized play, you have to have a certain amount of points to be able to play that character, or the DM has to say yes or no, I'm going to allow that character the organized play because it's rare. But for a regular normal Pathfinder game, what does that mean? It's a rare character class. It means the DM has to say whether he's going to allow that or not. Well, that's pretty much true for any game, right? With classes and races, the DM has final say, or he should, over what classes they're going to allow. So if they're like, yeah, I know they came out with this new totem class, but I'm not going to allow it. So I think it was just trying to inspire some collectible card game, DLC, loot box mentality by saying, we're going to have rare classes. Now, if you might have seen this thing floating around, and this got a little press. It didn't get as much press as I'm expecting, but it's still early. This D&D controversy thing that went around a couple days ago. This, of course, is fake. It was put together on ChatGPT by somebody to generate a random news story about Dungeons and Dragons. So ChatGPT went through the interweb and cobbled together all the stories and made this, and then it was floating around the interweb, and some people thought it was real. I can think of at least one. So here it goes. The new president of Wizards of the Coast has stirred controversy within the Dungeons & Dragons community by announcing several significant changes to the game. This includes the introduction of a baby dragon for each player. I don't know how they're going to get that to me. Restriction to playable races to dwarves, the return of Thaco, and the banning of wheelchair accessibility in dungeons and evil lairs. Additionally, the president has suggested reintroducing racial stereotypes for certain races, sparking a heated discussion among players. The D&D community's reaction is mixed, with some players excited for the new direction and others criticizing the president's approach. Okay, Wizards of the Coast doesn't have a president. It has a CEO. That CEO stepped down and has yet to be replaced. I would like to see how they're going to give each and every one of us a baby dragon. I would definitely like to see, if the only playable race was dwarves. That would be fun. But yeah, this isn't real. This basically an April Fool's joke, just way too late. Not sure where it came from or who's taking credit for it, but this is a thing. So if you saw this and was the one person who thought this was actually happening, you're not getting a baby dragon. They're not returning to Thaco, and wheelchair accessibility no longer in dungeons or evil lairs. Well, you know what? If you want your dungeon to be wheelchair accessible, that's up to you. That's not up to Wizards of the Coast. What else has been announced this week? Did you know that Did you know that there's this? Now you can taste the flavor of Critical Role with Critical Role whiskey. Dum bum bum. That's right. Tastes like Barbarian. Merchandising, where the real money is. This company is making an official themed Critical Role whiskey. Now, I find it interesting that they say the whiskey in question has been aged in casks for a minimum of 6 years, but the company has only been around for 2 years. So how has it been aged for 6 years? Did you travel back in time to have the cask ready when you set the company up 2 years ago? Or did you purchase a pre-existing company and just change the names? Oh yeah, we totally invented this. We didn't take some other company's whiskey and just slap a new label on it. That would be unprofessional. Yeah. There is a peer-reviewed study that's come out that shows Dungeons & Dragons is good for mental health, lowering stress, depression, and anxiety. Really? Really? You don't say. Really? Dungeons & Dragons is good for mental health? No. So is playing basketball. So is gardening. So is talking to a friend. So is laughter. So is watching a good movie. So is going to therapy. So is taking a long nap. So is eating ice cream. Yeah, good for mental health. Lowers stress, depression, anxiety. So does petting my cat. Steve Jackson Games released their shareholders report for 2023. And hey, everything's coming up Munchkin for them. Though I think there's some Munchkin controversy that I saw a story about for like half a second, but I haven't followed up on yet, but whatever. Munchkin is, of course, the main source of Steve Jackson Games' income now, which is sad because remember GURPS? I mean, say what you will, I'm still proud of my little part of the GURPS history and the creation of GURPS. So the fact that this kind of just fallen to the wayside and they're focusing on Munchkin, maybe I'm a little upset. GURPS was groundbreaking. It was one of the first, it broke the paradigm. It shifted tabletop role-playing game thinking. So many other companies have tried to adopt that. And GURPS wasn't the first by any means to do what it did. It just seemed to do it the best, or it just hit at the right time. And the source books, I mean, the GURPS source books, I will always say, look, if you're building a game about X, maybe see if you can find the GURPS source book on that to see if there was one, because the amount of research they did, I mean, that's what inspires me to do all the research for the stuff I do on the games I write, like all the Wretched stuff or the game I'm working on now. All the research, that was inspired by GURPS and all the research they did and all the research I had to do when I was writing for them. When I was working on GURPS martial arts, I had to meet with 2 martial art masters every week to discuss different martial arts styles, to look at different martial arts paraphernalia. I mean, I sent them boxes full of stuff for martial arts. Do you think they remember me? No, doubtful, whatever. But I'm not bitter. Hey, did you know President Cynthia Williams stepped down and now Wizards of the Coast doesn't have a president anymore or CEO anymore? Okay, she's not the president, she's the CEO. Stop calling her president. She was the CEO of Wizards of the Coast. Her boss was Chris Cox, the CEO of Hasbro. She stepped down. Her last day is the 26th. Today is the 22nd. Wednesday, the 24th at 7 o'clock in the morning, the Q1 numbers will be dropping. So I'm just going to toss this out there. The fact that she's leaving or gave her 2 weeks or whatever this close to the Q1 numbers is probably not just happenstance. I also sadly predict several other people will be leaving Wizards Hasbro in the wake, because if she's leaving or got fired, it doesn't bode well for the Q1 numbers. Yeah, but I'm sure there's a Wizards of the Coast shill out there who will tell you how her leaving is a good thing, or how that Wizards of the Coast lost people $1 billion in under 3 months is a good thing. But don't worry, they're going to pay us back. Yeah, that's news. Nobody cares. And then, of course, Wizards of the Coast is pushing the Vecna thing. Vecna, the year of Vecna. Meanwhile, other Wizards of the Coast product that was supposed to be paramount and important are already been marked down to the 30, 40, 50% off sale. Hey, remember, what was it called? Planescape? That's already been marked down. The Deck of Many Things book, that's already in second rotation, marked down 30%. Yeah, way to go, Wizards, because it's all about what's coming forward. The summer/year of Vecna, the year-long story that's going to explain the transition from 5e 2014 to 5e 2024, something that they've been building up for the past 10. Oh, wait, no, this is going to be something completely different, and you don't have to buy it because the lady tells you the entire plot in her interview. And once again, I would just highly recommend going to DM's Guild and getting my friend Scott McClintock's worst Forgotten Realms timeline Vecna storyline, because it's going to be 1,000 times better than whatever this is. And finally, of course, the number one story. Critical Role fans are upset. What? You don't say. It must be a day in the week. That right, Critical Role fans are upset because Matt Mercer pulled a bait and switch. He thought you were going to do one thing, and then it turned out he did something else. In the wake of the death of Fresh Cut Grass, he started the brand new post Fresh Cut Grass. He thought he was going to deal with the aftermath of a major player character dying. You notice Sam's not there. Some people have been like giving Ashley crap for bringing the stuffed animals to the table, but A, they're something her character does, and B, after everything Ashley's been through, I think she's earned a right to maybe have a little stuffed animal-ness, whatever, but who cares? So he started the story, and then boop, surprise, bait and switch. I'm not going to continue that storyline. I'm not going to tell you what the aftermath of this major bad guy dying, how it affects the game. Instead, I'm going to step down and let Aria, or whatever her name is, I'm going to bastardize your name again, lady, so I'm sorry. But it's the lady who ran the Crown Keepers Exandria expedition thing. You know, the one who got in a lot of trouble for being a horrible DM and for scripting her adventure. Well, she steps in, surprise, and all the actors and characters from the Crown Keepers miniseries, Exandria Expeditions, mysteriously were there in the studio, and somehow none of the other people knew they were there. The look on surprise at all their faces when suddenly these people we haven't seen for 3 years, where'd you guys come from? We're surprised. We didn't know you were going to be here. Really, guys? Come on. And they just happened to have all the props and everything ready. Yeah, whatever. I know, maybe it was a surprise. Maybe they didn't notice. Maybe they were so wrapped up in the grief of Sam's death, the character, not Sam being actually dead. But anyway, so yeah. Fuck that storyline. We're going back to the Crown Keeper storyline, and maybe what happens in this little offshoot mini-series will explain events that are happening on the moon and will all lead up to a grand finale eventually, finally. And of course, the fans reacted poorly. How dare you? We wanted to know what happened after the big bad guy died, because surely there would have been an aftermath. But instead, we have to watch these characters we haven't seen or thought about for 3 years and be involved in a story that may or may not have anything to do with the main story without any warning. Should the fans have been upset, or were they just blowing smoke and there was really no reason to be upset? I think it's funny that I predicted Campaign 3 would end on a cliffhanger, and I repeatedly said, you know what? If I was running Campaign 3, I'd end on a cliffhanger. And Matt ended on a cliffhanger. Now, Campaign 3 isn't over. We don't know how long this miniseries is going to last, at least 2 weeks. But then we'll be back to hopefully finally tie up Campaign 3 for all the fans who are just going, please let this be over. How dare. Or, hey, I'm really upset that you killed this character. I want to see the aftermath of this character being dead. Oh, wait, I have to wait? I guess I could understand why they're upset. It's also Critical Role fans, and Critical Role fans are silly. And let's assume, you know what, I think it's just safe to say that at this point, anything they do is going to upset the fan base. They can't win. I don't know why they keep trying. They should just give up, go outside, and have an ice cream. That's it for the news. That's all the stories that we're going to shape the tabletop role-playing game Maelstrom this week. Which one are you most interested in? The aftermath of Cynthia Williams stepping down? The fate of D&D post-Vecna? The fate of Pathfinder post-War of the Immortals? Do you want to run out and drink Critical Role flavored whiskey? Are you going to run out and buy a $300 baby goblin replica? Or if you're like me, do you not care about any of these stories and would rather talk about anything else? Please, some other company, do something newsworthy. Till next time, I'm the OG GM. If you appreciate this content, let me know. If you don't appreciate this content, let me know. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Help me hit 2,000 subs by August 4th, and we'll do something crazy. That calendar's counting down, guys. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button so that algorithm knows to put my stories in the first thing you see every day. And I'll be back later. Until then, drive careful because it looks like it's going to rain.